Okay, so I believe we are officially live and happy Money Monday. I am here with Sharina Ankhi Krol, which she is an amazing New York City based branding attorney. She's here to give us some her top tips for businesses. Um, and she's also a mom and the founder of an app called Meetpreneur. Um, Hi, Sharina. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
So happy to have you here.
Thanks for
And
having me.
awesome. And to start this interview, we're just going to make a little bit of a legal disclaimer. The material in this interview is for informational purposes only and is not intended to and should not be construed as legal advice. Please contact either Sharina Ankhi Krol or another attorney directly for legal advice. All right. So now that we got that stuff out of the
Thanks
way,
for that.
no problem. So let's get into it because when I saw your tips, I was so excited because this is a different kind of viewpoint on a different viewpoint for businesses, and especially someone who's also an attorney and a branding expert. You don't get that very often. So I really wanted to bring you on and see what you have to share
Thank
with
you.
yeah.
Thanks. So should I just give the advice?
Yeah, let's like jump
Okay.
right in. Tell me, what are your
Okay.
top tips? Yeah.
Okay, sure. So I work only with entrepreneurs and small business owners, and as a result of that, I have been very fortunate to see both the business end of starting a business and also the networking aspect. So that's what we'll be talking about both. Number one advice, from me being an attorney and also an entrepreneur myself, is that you need to define your own success. You cannot wing that. And I really learned that, on my own. I didn't realize I needed to do something in the beginning of my career years ago to have a definition for what success is. And that led me to just kind of just keep going and keep going and keep going, which is great. You need to keep going with your own business. Don't get me wrong. But I never really had an aha moment like, oh, hey, I really reached this milestone. And that kind of led me to go off in this, I don't know, never ending quest. I was like, okay, am I successful yet? I don't know. So it's kind of not very helpful for your own mentality. You need to have those milestones in place, and you need to kind of pat yourself on the back for reaching those milestones, and then you can then create more milestones for yourself to kind of keep yourself in check and not put your goals, put your ideas of success on somebody else's ideas, because those are always different.
Yeah, I actually really, really love this because I know that I went down a similar kind of path of not having in the beginning clearly defined for myself what success looked like in my business and
Mm-hmm.
even what success looked like in my personal life. And I
Right,
found that I got lost and I just kind of
right,
let it go where it went. And I didn't feel successful. I just felt really overwhelmed and overworked. And I was just taking whatever I could get. And I think when I really sat down, I had the opportunity to be in this, it's called the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. And
mm-hmm.
it like literally forced me to step away from my business and clearly define what I wanted from my business and in my personal life. And I think that that happened. It's been a year since I graduated from the program, and it
Mm-hmm.
literally changed the trajectory of my business because
Right,
now I do know where I want, and I am, kind of applauding myself as I reach certain milestones and I have a clearly defined path. And it's a whole different ball game than pre doing that. Pre doing that, like I was just doing. And I wasn't applauding myself on my wins. I was just kind of like living and surviving.
Hmm.
And I feel like by defining it, it allowed me to like reach the moment of thriving and feeling really good about what I've achieved and where my business has gone. So I think that's a huge
Right.
tip and that's super important.
Absolutely. I see it. I even saw it from my personal experience, and so many of my clients don't really take the time to make these milestones, and I think it's really important, like you said. It gives you a clearer vision of where you want to go and where you have been, so you can build from that.
Yeah, and I love the idea of celebrating because that's something that as business owners, I think we forget to do a lot. Like sometimes we do
Oh
it
yeah,
for
absolutely.
Yeah, like sometimes we'll do it for like our employees if they like reach a certain
Yes.
milestone that you've set for them, but nobody really applauds you. And then you kind of like
Right.
just feel underappreciated and overworked and
Right.
yeah.
And it's also, we're taught from a young age that you shouldn't, toot your own horn, right? And you know what? It's actually good for you. It's necessary too, even if it's just taking yourself out to a nice dinner. Just do it. Just because you don't have someone overseeing your success doesn't mean you don't need to look at it yourself. It's actually crucial, I think, in the whole health of your business and yourself.
That's so true. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I really do love that. And I really think that more more people need to hear that. Sorry, I realized I forgot to push record, but it's okay. I pushed it now, and either way, Facebook is going to like store it.
Okay.
But I just wanted to make sure. So if anyone heard that little ding,
Okay.
it was me hitting record. This is kind of a new format because Facebook at I think it was like the end of November or December, they stopped
Mhm.
having you be able to do lives with guests. And so now I have to do it
Okay.
off of Zoom. And
Oh,
sometimes
okay.
like I'm still not, set in the new process of doing it. Okay,
Right.
let's
Oh,
jump.
you're used to it.
Yeah, let's jump into your next tip.
Okay. So my next tip is to network smart. Now, we all know that we need to network as business owners, whether you're starting off or you are an established business owner who has, countless clients. You always want to keep that funnel filled, right? Because at some point, if you're not filling that funnel or have people coming in and you're making connections, that avenue is going to dry up, just like anything else. You need to keep that openness to your business that you can turn to, not just for potential business but also for inspiration. I met so many people that not only referred clients to me or became clients themselves, but they also introduced me to new ideas, new ways of doing business. So you need to network smart. Now, what do I mean by network smart? There's so many networking opportunities out there. You cannot and you should not say yes to everything. There could be a let's drink tonight sort of networking event. So if you're a busy entrepreneur and you don't have much time to go to every single event, maybe that's not the type of event you should be looking for. You should be looking for something that would yield the result that you want. So go where your clients are, make sure what you're doing actually will yield the result that you want.
Yeah, I think some amazing things that you said is go where your clients are, because I found that that is like the key when it comes to networking events. There's so many to
Mm-hmm.
choose from, and finding one that kind of fits both like your energy and your flow and what you're looking for on that day, it'll make you
Right,
feel a lot more comfortable to talk to people.
right,
And then also
right.
to be like very choosy about the events that you go to and like making sure that it's somewhere where you're going to find a client or someone that has clients for you and that you can
Mm-hmm.
also offer
Mm-hmm.
something of value to. I think that's
Exactly.
really important. And
Yeah.
I got some really good tips as far as networking, which have helped me out tremendously when I've done it, because I kind of go to like events that wouldn't that they're really fun for me and they wouldn't necessarily generate
Mhm.
business for other people in my
Right.
field.
But that's
But
okay. That's okay. And people
yeah,
don't realize that. There's actually one particular event I love to go to every month. It's once a month and I just love to go. In fact, last month, this woman asked me, so what do you get from this? Do you actually get any clients? And I said, actually, no. And it's okay because, um, when you hear an attorney is in the networking group, you automatically have these bad visuals of, oh, she's looking for lawyers, she's looking for lawyers, she's looking for clients because she's a lawyer. Quite honestly, I'm there to be inspired because they always have panels of entrepreneurs coming to present how they reached to the point that they are now. So I just like to go to listen to that. And if I happen to find someone, then great. But that particular event is just to feed my interest. It's not to go and get clients. So that's okay with me. You have to find different things to fill different, I guess, areas of your life, to enrich your life. So it's not always about clients, but you need to know where you should be going for clients versus where you should be going to feed your own interest.
yeah. And yeah, and being open, I think going to events and kind of being open, if you're going to feed your own interests, like also being open to the fact that there might be a client there, and in fact, you might be
Yeah,
the perfect person to serve them because you share the same interest,
mm-hmm.
and that's
Exactly.
a key too. I have like one tip also for, because I know that a lot of people have kind of a hard time speaking up at networking events and figuring out who to
Mm-hmm.
talk to or how to talk to people.
Right.
So two tips that I've gotten that have really worked out for me. One is walk into the room, and whoever looks more scared than you feel, walk up to them and talk to them, because
Yeah.
you never know where it might lead, and they're looking for someone almost to like save them for something from something.
Mm-hmm.
They'll
Mm-hmm.
be super happy to talk to you. They'll start, they'll let the
Right.
conversation flow, and also like you've already helped them with something, and they'll feel, you'll build that relationship of the give and take right away from the start. And I did this at South by Southwest last year, where I went and I didn't have necessarily anything. There had just been like a panel. I wasn't even in the panel.
Right.
I had walked into the conference room because a friend of mine had just attended the seminar, and everybody was chatting, and I saw this woman like standing by herself, and she looked like, I don't know that she looked scared, but she just looked like, oh my gosh, I'm by myself and I not sure who to talk to. And
Mm-hmm.
I walked right up, started a conversation, and cut to a year later. And she's now been a client of mine for, I don't know, like 6 months, and that was
Yeah.
just a random
Because people
conversation.
don't forget. Yeah, people don't forget how you make them feel. That's forever. If you make someone feel welcomed and appreciated, they will remember that. Whether or not they ever need your services, they can always refer someone to you as well, as long as you make that meaningful connection. And that I'd like to just add to that. It's not about hitting up as many numbers as you can. It's not a numbers game when you go to a networking event. It's about making genuine connection. So if you are able to talk to one person and truly understand what it is that that person does, it's better than handing out, 20 cards to people who you don't even get to speak to. And that's something I don't think a lot of the new networkers, they don't really know about that, because I often see people just handing out cards like, here you go, and here you go. And, what are you doing with that? That doesn't really yield much value, in my opinion. I would rather speak to someone and really get to know them and explain what I do to them as well.
Yeah, and when you do have that kind of connection with someone, I have a contact card that I've created on my phone that
Mm-hmm.
includes like my photo, because that's a big deal. When you're at these networking events, you're meeting so many people. And so both my
Right.
business card and my contact card on my phone have all of the relevant information that people need, plus a photo. Because
I do
then
the same thing.
you send it right to them either by email or text, and they have all of your
Right.
information in one place. They remember exactly who you are, and you're able to do it really easily instead of,
Hmm.
having, because we all come back from these networking events with like a stack of business cards, not necessarily
Absolutely. Hmm.
remembering who we met, what we talked about with them,
Hmm.
unless they really stuck out in our minds.
Right. I absolutely agree. I couldn't agree more, actually. When I started my law practice, I received an unsolicited advice of don't put your picture on the card. You look like a real estate agent. And I said, okay, that's good for you. If I look like a real estate agent, that's great because at least they'll remember my face. And when they go home, they won't be wondering, well, who is this person that has a name? And really, you're just a name, and then you just get tossed to the side, right? But if they can just remember what you looked like and then they just see it in the card, it's a lot easier to make that connection.
Yeah, and I'm all about not necessarily having to go with what the mainstream or what society has decided that your
Absolutely.
card
That
should
never
look
works.
like. Yeah, like then you
Right,
just
right,
become one of the
right.
thousands of other people handing out the business card that looks exactly the same. Like it is
Yes.
all about people are not, they don't want to work with like companies. They want to work with you.
Hmm.
So if you can
Right,
make an impression on them and show them who you are, and there's a clear, this is who I am, this is what I,
right.
bring to the table, then they're more likely to work with
I agree.
you.
100%.
All right. And then, one other tip with networking events, which this actually, pick and choose what works for you. I
Hmm.
haven't actually used this method before because I find that it's not really my style. But I've been told that it's much easier. Like people think that you should have a one-on-one conversation all the time, and that it's hard to join a group that's a group conversation that's going on, like
I'll
just
add to
hard to
that.
step in. So
Hmm.
that was usually my thought, and actually people have told me that it's easier when a group is talking to just like kind of jump in, because it takes the pressure off of the conversation, where there's someone else that can hold up the conversation if you don't feel like you can input enough.
Right.
um, but it especially when people don't know each other, so you're joining like a group of people that are just meeting each other,
Hmm.
to just jump into group conversations, and allow yourself to do that, even if it feels like it might be harder, because it could actually be a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, I'll add to that a little bit if you don't mind. So what you said, I agree with. However, I will also say that when I just started networking, jumping into a group of people talking was the most horrific thought in my mind. I was so afraid of doing that. I would just assume that they came together, and they already had like a bonded, group thing going on, and I didn't want to break into that. And also I thought maybe, I would be disrupting what they're talking about. And I just felt shy or, just nervous altogether, especially if I was attending an event alone. I didn't want to just, like burst into this, whole scenario that was going on. But you know what? If there's a group of people just banding together and just, it almost looks like a closed circle. And it is scary in the beginning. I'm not going to lie. Even to this day, it's not the most comfortable thing for me to do and just like say, hey guys, But you know what? They're in a networking event. If they're not welcoming enough to open their circle, maybe they shouldn't be there. And you're not the one that should be afraid. They should be ashamed that they're actually there closing off everybody else. So go in and just say, hey, how's it going? What are they going to do? Are they going to say, no, well, you can't come in? If that's the case, don't go there. They're not the people you're going to do business with ever anyway. Um,
Yeah.
So, just go in and say hi. And, most of the time there'll be one or more than actually one person that would introduce you to the rest of the group. And what you may find that they're all having different conversations anyway, because not everyone can be included in one huge conversation.
Yeah, I love that because you're right. We go to networking to meet other people. So if you come with a group
Mm-hmm.
and you're just sticking with that group, then you're not
Right. Why are you
actually
there?
networking. Yeah.
Exactly. And along with that goes my other tip that I like to give to business owners, entrepreneurs, is that not we don't always have good days. If you're not having a good day and you're not up for it and don't want to smile and don't want to look like you're approachable, just don't go. Don't go to the event. Go home. Take care of yourself. Go another day. Because guess what? Someone from that event is going to run into you in the future. And they're going to remember that face that you had on and the aura that you brought with you. And if you look pissed off, excuse my language, today, and you look like you don't want to talk to anyone, you don't want to be there, you can't be bothered, then no one's going to bother you later to talk to you. And if you're there to network, either bring your A game or just go home. It's going to happen another time too. You can always come back. I always say just bring your best face forward. And if you can't do that, just go another time. It's not worth it for you to risk being known as that pissy person or that angry looking person that is not approachable, because no one likes that. And if
Oh,
you
yeah.
do, I'm not your person. That's really it at the end of the day, because people want to talk to people that they're comfortable with.
Yeah, I think that's super important. Like, there's no FOMO here. If you're not feeling up to it, then don't.
Right.
Like, don't do it because
Right.
it's going to be painful for you and the people
Everyone.
around you. Yeah. So just,
Exactly. And that has happened so many times too, and I just wonder to myself, like, why are you even here? Like, who are you doing this for? So that's my one little quirky advice.
oh, that's awesome. That's perfect advice because I think as entrepreneurs, and just in general, because this is for
Mm-hmm.
networking in general, right? We sometimes get stuck in this mindset of we have to do something and we have to
Mm-hmm.
attend that event, or we have to, we got tickets so now we have to go, or like our boss wants us to go, or whatever it is.
Right.
But if you're not coming with your A game, then it's
Right.
actually preferable just not to go, you know?
Absolutely. Yep. I agree. That's one of my favorite tips to give.
Awesome. And then also you have so tell, because I think this helps with the networking, the
Mm-hmm.
Meetpreneur app. So
Mm-hmm.
explain to me, like, what is that? How did it come about?
Sure. So I have been networking in the New York City area for over 10 years because I built my law practice from scratch. I had absolutely no clients when I started my practice, and now I have clients all over the country, even some from other countries. So it's really great to be able to now look back and tell people how I made my business go from nothing to what it is now, and it's all through meaningful networking. And I have two kids, one is 3 and one is 4. And at a time when my youngest was, less than a year old, I remember she couldn't even stand up, so she was pretty small. If I would go into my office, I would have back-to-back clients, just so I didn't waste any time in between. I would just maximize my schedule and just, do everything that I can as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible. And there was a woman who wanted to start her own law practice, and she was emailing me for months, trying to, sit down and just talk, and for her to pick my brain about how I started my practice, give her tips, etc. So finally, I said, okay, fine. I have this hour free for lunch. I would meet with you, in between seeing clients. So she actually picked the restaurant that she wanted to meet for lunch, and I went, and I was waiting, and I ordered my food, and she didn't show up. So I looked at my phone, and I realized she emailed me saying that she decided that she was going to have lunch with her husband instead, so she didn't come. And I thought, that's kind of crappy.
Yeah.
Not just that you were the one that was asking me for months to meet with you, but, not to even give me a heads up before you, decided just not to show up, which is, rude all on its own. But I thought to myself, what if there was a way for me to look around and see who's around, who has an hour or sometime even, not even a whole hour, to meet and maybe discuss potential business or just network, over lunch. And I couldn't think of anything that was out there. So that was the beginning of my idea of what if there was a way for me to visualize who's around and on the spot, on the go and on demand, figure out how I could network and potentially increase my business as well. So I thought of the app then and there, and that's the birth place of the idea. So after that, I was thinking about it for a while, and I was refining the idea. And it's always a work in progress, but it is already in iOS and Android, so you can actually download it today if you wanted to. So it allows you to see entrepreneurs and business owners within a 50-mile radius on a map and also on a list view. And if you're interested in someone, you can offer them a handshake. And if they accept it, you can then exchange messages. So you don't even have to give them your phone number or anything like that. So it's safe in that way. And on top of that, if you are a seasoned business owner and you don't always have the time to, go out and network, for the paid membership, one of the most, I think, amazing features of the app is that you get push button notifications whenever there's someone looking to hire someone in your field. So let's say for me, if I was looking for an accountant, not even just to hire, but just any sort of potential business, ability. If you're looking for someone and you're a paid member, whenever someone is looking for someone in your field, you'll get a pop-up notification on your phone. So that cuts down the lead time, right? So you don't have to do any chasing. You can automatically know who's looking for you and contact them that way.
I love that. I like this. I like this idea of like almost like a dating app for entrepreneurs. Not like a dating app, but like to meet people.
It's all. I guess the idea is almost lame.
Yeah.
Right.
Just to like.
I have to keep telling people it's not a dating app, but if you happen to find someone through it, go right ahead.
Yeah.
I won't stop you.
Although, like, we should probably, I would keep it separate, but
yes.
I mean, but it's the same
definitely
concept.
Not a dating app, just to make it clear.
Yeah. But it's like the same concept of like, these are people that instead of like going to a networking event or like a speed dating event, right? Like this is like that version for entrepreneurs of like, these are the people that are around you and you can collaborate with, you can figure out, you can work together, you can collaborate, you can figure out if there's some value that you can add to their lives, some value they can add to yours, or just even to, which is something that I know a lot of entrepreneurs are lacking, like develop a support system of other entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Because it can get really lonely. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought up that point, because my next point, we literally just added a feature last week. We're still perfecting it, but it's there right now. As you said, it gets lonely, and anyone that has a business will know what we're talking about. If you're not an entrepreneur who owns a business, this may sound a little bit strange, but we are literally sailing our own ship into the sea, and it's really lonely sometimes because you don't have someone that you can really talk to, especially if you're a solo, or if you're the boss, right, who has employees, but you can't necessarily show your feelings or talk about what if I did this, run your ideas with someone. So it gets really lonely. So for that reason, sometimes we need inspiration, right? So if for nothing else, this app provides a daily inspirational quote. So if you're feeling down, you can open the app and you can see an inspirational quote now. So that's our latest feature. And pretty soon we're going to be adding more things. So the best way for you to stay up to date on these awesome things we're adding slowly is by downloading it, and it's a free app. So, if nothing else, you could just at least give it a try. Have nothing to lose, right? And if you have any ideas if you have any ideas for how to make entrepreneurs' lives even better, we're always open to listening as well.
Yeah, I love the daily inspiration. I love like creating this support system of entrepreneurs. I feel like it's the same reason that people that don't have an office will go to like co-working spaces. You just want to be
Mm-hmm.
around other people that are also
Right.
moving forward and getting stuff done.
Right.
And
Right.
for people that can't do that, like I have my own office, like this would be great because I get to meet other entrepreneurs and I get to meet other people who are, going down that same path. Because like you said, as like I'm the boss, right, of my business and I have
Right.
employees. In my business, I have to have all of the answers all of the time.
Right.
And
You can't ask anyone. You are
no,
it.
you're it. So if you don't have that network of people to ask questions, it's super lonely. It's really scary at times.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just go down like it's like this roller coaster of emotions where you're like on these crazy highs and then these super low lows. And if you have the network of people around you that can support
Right.
you in that, then it's
Right.
not that anymore.
Right, I agree. And with the app too, you no longer have to wait for networking events to take place. That was the big thing with me because of the craziness of my schedule at that time. I didn't have the luxury of going to an event on a Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. It just wasn't happening. Or Friday at 9 a.m. I was either working or I had personal obligations. So it's great actually for busy entrepreneurs who can't necessarily put everything on hold to attend events when it doesn't really correlate with their schedules. So it allows you to, either supplement your networking life or just give you a completely new one. You would have to choose. And something else I would like to point out is that someone actually asked me, well, how are you going to make people network? So I said, well, that's a great question. I will not make anyone network. No one can make anyone do anything. It's just like a gym membership. I mean, I have one, but you can't make me go. I wish they could because that would be great. But you need to want to do it, right? And if you want to do it, the tool is there. If you don't want to do it, I mean, it's just like anything else. No one can make you do anything. You need to make yourself do it, right? So that was an interesting question I got, and I was like, God, I wish there was something like that to like make me do things, But all you can do is have the tools, and the rest is up to you.
Yeah, and I think that is a really good tool for people, especially people that kind of shy away from networking events and don't feel like they're good in a group setting or being like submerged in, a ton of new people.
Right.
This can be more of a one-on-one type of networking where there's not as
Right.
much pressure, and maybe if you don't feel comfortable in person, you can hide behind a screen for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, or a while, right? Because it allows you to have messaging capabilities right in the palm of your hands. You don't need to switch, or rather swap your numbers. So there's that hesitation of, oh, will the stranger know my information? It's nothing that you're not sharing with them, so you wouldn't need to worry about that. And also, in a place like New York City, let's say it's a nice summer day or something, and you plan to meet with one person, but there happens to be some more people around. You can always invite them, to where you are and have a group meeting there if you really wanted to. So it wouldn't stop you from doing that.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like the idea. I love it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. I'm excited. I'm gonna download it because I think
Yay!
everybody needs, even if you're not necessarily an entrepreneur yet, but maybe you want to get
Right.
some advice from people who are. Maybe you're thinking
Yeah.
about going down that path. I think this would be a great app
Right.
for those people as well.
I hope you check it out. I'm sorry, that was my dog. He was trying to just like bust in. So sorry about that.
No, I didn't even hear
um,
anything, so it's great.
yeah, he's scratching at the door, so he's probably like, "What are you doing in there?"
Oh,
Yeah, so I do hope you download it, and if you have any feedback, I'm open to it because it's very grassroots right now, and I'm really trying to build communities because it is an app where having the users on the app is crucial. So without the users on it, it's useless. Um, so any person that wants to check it out, and create little communities, I would love that. I'd love to see it grow organically before I, go and advertise for it because I would rather it grow organically than have it just be downloaded for no reason. I want people to love it. I would just want them to find it helpful. And just love the product.
yeah. So if you're watching now or on the replay, we will put the links in the comments so that you can download the app, and I think like share it with anyone that you think would benefit from it, so that we can kind of create this community of entrepreneurs and a community of
That'll
like
be great.
more networking and easier
Yeah.
networking, and
Yeah,
finding people that
absolutely.
are around you. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that.
And then
Yeah, and so I think we have one more tip I need to get, right?
yes,
Okay,
there's one more.
perfect. Uh, and it's a tip that actually is something I give to my clients in my legal practice, and it's that you have to protect yourself. Me being an entrepreneur and like creating things on my own, other than just practicing law, I find it very tempting to discuss things with my friends as well. And I don't have that many close friends. I have a very tight knit group of friends, and I even before I talk to them about things, I kind of want to just iron out my ideas and tell them only a sanitized version of what I'm thinking of, right? You don't want to talk about every little detail with everyone. And this is very common, and I understand why, because it's so exciting, and it's your idea, and you're thinking about, wow, I just came up with this, and everybody will love it. Let me test it out with my friends and family first. One, it's legally dangerous to do that. The reason I say it is, your friends, family, whoever the case may be, and I've seen really bad situations where even family members steal the idea, like they would go and trademark whatever the name or logo may be, and start a similar business. And that's not good because then you can't protect that, for that same type of business. And same thing for copyright issues, right? If you're creating something and you start using it everywhere before you protect it, you most likely will lose the protection that would be available to you otherwise. So first talk to an attorney. Yeah, so first talk to an attorney before you talk to your friends and your family and things like that. For obvious reasons, they can actually point you to the right direction as to what you should be doing, so your ideas are protected. If they can be, I should say, because not all ideas can be, protected, and not all names or logos can be protected. So these are things that you should talk to an attorney about. And then the second aspect of that is, remember, this is your business, right? No one else is going to share the same enthusiasm for it as you will. There are a lot of negative Nancy's out there. Either
Oh yeah.
either because they lack the creativity, or because they will be projecting their insecurities onto you. You don't need any of those. You need to worry about yourself and how you can get your ideas off the ground and how you can get your business off the ground. So it's good that some people are knowledgeable enough these days to talk to an attorney, but with the internet being available, everyone's going to Google, and they're Googling just what they know. They're trying to protect things on their own. However, Google will only show you what you know to ask. So if you're asking Google, how can I trademark this? Google will not show you irrelevant things, which are not exactly irrelevant. When you talk to an attorney, they'll tell you everything that you need to know. So there's that, and then there's the whole aspect of being discouraged because of someone else's views, or their lack of enthusiasm. So they'll kill the idea even before you can take it anywhere, and that happens a lot, unfortunately. So that would be my advice: to be proactive and to protect your business before you start telling everyone about it.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people shy away from speaking to an attorney because they think that because of the cost, right? They'll think that like,
Mhm.
oh, this is a huge upfront cost. I just don't have it. I'm just
Right,
starting out. But
right,
what most people have to realize is that that cost is so much bigger later if you don't
right.
do it the right way. And
Correct.
that's something that we have to get, like, we have to start wrapping our brains around of like,
Mhm.
don't always say, it costs too much right now, or I can't do it now, I'll do it later.
Mhm.
And even if it's just to, I don't know that if you do this in your practice, but even if it's just to
Right.
sit with an attorney and pay them for 2 or 3 hours of just advice, and then take that and go with that. But at least to
Yeah.
talk to somebody who knows more than you, because we get stuck
Right.
into this thing that we have to know everything. You don't know everything.
Right.
You shouldn't know
And you
everything.
can't. I mean,
Yeah.
you really can't. Everything that goes along with knowing how to build your business, you literally cannot learn that in a couple of hours of Googling, right? And to answer what you were saying, I actually offer a very cost-effective legal consultation, and it's actually less than half of what I charge hourly, literally just to get people to be proactive. It's been a campaign of my law practice for years now, and I couldn't tell you how many times people come in with a great idea and they didn't think it through. And then after this very nominal fee that I charge for the consultation, just to get them to start thinking about what is required or what cannot be done, they find it to be really helpful. So after you get this information from an attorney, you can then decide if you really want to go through with it, what the risks are, or if you just decide it's not for you at this time. So I don't know, how other attorneys do it, but that has been a really great thing for my clients I've found over the years.
Yeah, and I think that's like, when you go into a business, you want to go into it with as much information as possible. And
Hmm.
I think when you do something like that and you have a consultation and then you kind of figure out how much it's going to cost you, you have an added benefit that other people don't have,
Right.
of being able to build that cost into your price that you give to
Right.
your customers or
Exactly.
clients. Like, that's now all
Exactly.
thought out, and you won't lose money on it later because you've already thought
Hmm.
about it and you've already built that, that return into the
Hmm.
cost of
Yeah.
whatever good or
Absolutely.
service that you're selling.
Yeah. Absolutely. And people often overlook the legal aspects. Just even something as simple as making a legal entity for your business. They're working without having anything there to protect their personal assets from their business assets, and that's a huge risk. That's a huge risk that people take. Sorry, it's like super. I'm feeling it's like super late, but I need more coffee, guys. Um, so yeah, I think that's the huge mistake that people make, not putting aside any money whatsoever, but they're putting aside money for advertising, they're putting aside money for marketing, and it just boggles the mind that you never thought to put a couple $100 away for a legal consultation. It's amazing to me, but I understand that it's not something fun to think about. When you're excited, you don't think law, so I get
Yeah.
it, but it's yes, as an attorney, I think it's my job to remind people you don't have to think it's fun. Your lawyer will find it to be fun, but you just have to be informed. So that's what it is at the end of the day. Just be informed of what's out there, what you should and shouldn't be doing, or can and cannot do, and that'll take you much further.
Yeah, it's about putting a team in place that does all of the things that you don't think are fun so that you can focus
Right,
on what you think is fun and what you do best.
right,
And I think that's where people get lost because they try to do everything themselves. and then you're going in so many different directions that you're not doing any one thing well, and you're
Right.
almost like losing part of your brand, part of your offering, part of what sets you apart and makes you, different from your competition. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's,
Absolutely. And I think, when you're choosing an attorney, I'll give unsolicited advice on how to choose your attorney. Make sure aside from like finding out their credentials, and if they actually know what they're doing, I think personality has to be a top priority, because you're not only going to be communicating with this person a lot, you're also trusting them with really valuable resources that you have, for your business, right? So it's a huge commitment, not just monetarily, but also as a person. I mean, if you don't like your attorney, there's no reason you should be working with them. It's a personal relationship. So I think you should find someone that fits well with you. Some people like extremely serious lawyers. Some people don't. And it's okay. No one's
yeah.
going to take it personally, I don't think. But
Yeah, whatever
but
makes you feel safe, because this is the person that's
exactly.
going to be protecting your assets, protecting your
Right.
ideas, protecting your business, essentially.
Right. I think it's really important that your attorney is able to explain things to you in a way that you understand. Um, so the simpler it is that they can make it for you, the more you can rest assured that they know their stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so I always say, if I can explain it to my 3-year-old and she gets it, that's good, because that means I get it too. So I think that's a good way of distinguishing whether or not people really know their stuff, is if we can really explain it to a child.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I found that in my field as well, that sometimes people in my field will actually will overcomplicate things so that their
Yeah.
clients don't think they know how to do it themselves, or
Mhm.
they do it out of like fear, because they're scared that
Right.
that client will do it themselves, or that they'll leave
Mhm.
them or something like that if they understand too much. And I've
Mhm.
always been of the opposite of, no, I want you to understand exactly what I do,
Right.
because I need you to also work with me on it. And I need you to understand where my value is and where I can add it. And
Yeah.
also just like, I believe that people should know you should know what you're getting into. You should know what you're working with. And I don't want to hold anyone
Mhm.
hostage because I've
Of
withheld
course.
information and made it like to be some overcomplicated, crazy thing that they'll never understand.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, you know, I am the expert in what I do, and you are the expert in what you
Mhm.
do. And especially if you can explain it to me and I understand why you're doing what you're doing, I'm going to totally
Mhm.
let you take the reins and do it for me, because
Right.
I know that I can't do it at that level and I want it done
Mhm.
the right
Right. Exactly. And that goes to transparency. If you can't be transparent with your clients, really, I don't think they will be trusting you all that much. At the end of the day, they may give you their business, but the trust issue is completely separate. If they can't trust you, I don't think they will be happy at the end of the day.
way. Yeah, that's I think that's what business comes down to in general, for me at least.
Right.
I know that not everyone has the same mentality, but for me it's all about transparency and trust, and building that relationship with a client, and
Right.
making sure that they feel comfortable.
Absolutely. I agree.
Awesome. So, if people want to contact you after watching this, um, anyone who is on the email blast, who, who's they got all of your information in the email. So if you haven't
Mhm.
signed up for my Money Monday emails, please do so. You'll get all the information. But in case they didn't and they don't get that
Mhm.
information, how can people reach out to you?
You can email me or check out my website. You can check out ankhikrolaw.com. It's ANKHIKROLLAW.com, or Meetpreneur, which is the app. You can search for it on the App Store or Google Play. It's MEETPRENEUR. like meeting and entrepreneur combined. Um, so you can, check out the website too. It's meetpreneur.com. So my contact information is on there, and I'm on socials as well. So I'm pretty easy to find. Or
Okay.
you can even just Google my name, and you'll find things.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. And thank you for, I know it's like late at night and you probably have a million things going on, but I really appreciate you coming on and giving us these tips because I found them super helpful. And I know that the audience will too.
Thank you. I hope I made sense. I kind of need coffee now, but it's almost 10, so I don't know if I should. But thank you so much for having me. It was really great. I enjoyed this.
Great. Okay. So have an amazing night. And
You
we,
too.
yeah. And I hope that everybody gets in touch. And I'm definitely downloading the app. So you have one
Thank
new
you.
user.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good night.